Why is Keir Starmer taking bribes? Because he is. And in this video, I'm going to show you how and why and what that means for the country. But for me, I recently made a video about Keir Starmer and all of the disappointment and the U-turn since he came into power. But this just feels like another kick in the teeth from him. Now, for perspective, MPs frequently receive gifts and donations from private businesses, companies, private donors. That's happened for a long time and they declare those gifts. But Keir Starmer has received well over £100,000 in gifts since 2019, since December 2019. And actually that rate of accepting gifts is just increasing. Now, for perspective, that is 3 times higher than any other MP.
And this man is at the helm, and he's been promising he's different to his predecessors. Now, he must declare everything he receives, and he's received a lot. Look at this, £107,000. In fact, even more than that. That's the total gifts and hospitality he has registered since the start of the last Parliament. Holidays, theatre, music, football tickets, hotel stays, all within the rules, Downing Street says. But now look at this from our spreadsheets. Compared to every other current MP, Keir Starmer comes top of the charts. He has accepted more freebies by far than anyone else, 2.5 times more than the second highest claimer of freebies. Now, what this table here is the top 10 MPs who've accepted the most in gifts, excluding legal fees. Now, you might remember in his election victory speech, Keir Starmer promised a government of service. And it's true, he accepted most of these gifts during Labour's preparation for power, nearly £87,000 in the last Parliament. But he has accepted over £20,000 since the election as well. And he's made it clear he thinks the freebies can continue. Now, of course, people have been giving gifts for a reason. Specifically, these people. This is who have given the most gifts and hospitality to Keir Starmer. Wealthy donors, sports firms, music companies, media giants.
Now, these aren't really gifts. I think you can probably see that these are just forms of lobbying. I mean, why would Arsenal want to be associated with Keir Starmer? If anything, that's actually probably quite harmful for their branding. But they'll still give him season tickets or whatever, you know? And the reason that they're doing this is so that in the future, when they have an ask, they can go to Keir Starmer or any other MP and say, hey, remember that time we did this for you? Well, we now need this in return. And you'll be more receptive to it. I doubt it's that open. It's more just, 6 months ago we did something for you. And then they'll bring up their ask and they won't mention anything, but it's just kind of tacit. It's silent. It's understood as this kind of agreement. And it's not right, honestly. I'll put in a clip of Zara Sultana. She's an MP. She's a Labour MP who was criticising the Conservatives, ironically, during the last term for doing exactly this. And she explains it, actually, to her credit. I don't like her as an MP, but she explains it quite well.
Before I was elected, I didn't know big businesses sent gifts to MPs. Gifts that always seem to be accompanied by requests. The other week, Heathrow sent me a food hamper along with an ask. They wanted me to support their third runway, as if some shortbread biscuits would drown out the warnings of the climate emergency. Google recently sent me a gift as well. It wasn't much, but it got me thinking about corporate lobbying. It reminded me that in 2018, Google avoided £1.5 billion in tax, according to the Tax Justice Network, and that in 2016, Google reached a deal with the government after dozens of meetings with ministers to secure an effective tax rate of just 3% on profits estimated to be more than £7 billion. Now, I might have missed it, but I don't think doctors or nurses, factory workers or cleaners in Coventry South were offered private meetings with ministers to create tailor-made sweetheart packages to reduce their taxes. But this is a premium service that's given to big business. And so it often seems to be one rule for billionaires and big business and another rule for everyone else.
Now, it's important to remember this is exactly the same Keir Starmer who very recently said that politics was going to shift away from cronyism, away from VIP lanes, another topic I recently made a video about. But he painted this picture of a more honest and better politics, you know. I'll put the clip in and you can see for yourself.
Change Britain, we must change ourselves. We need to clean up politics. No more VIP fast lanes, no more kickbacks for colleagues, no more revolving doors between government and the companies they regulate. I will restore standards in public life with a total crackdown on cronyism.
But that's just not what he's delivered. That honest, better politics simply hasn't come to fruition. Remember the furore that came around when Boris Johnson had someone pay for his extremely expensive wallpaper, £16,000 on wallpaper or whatever it was, I can't remember. And yet, here we have Keir Starmer, who railed into Boris Johnson about that matter, accepting thousands of pounds so that his wife can have nice dresses from a private donor. He himself has received £20,000 for unspecified accommodation, which let's just assume is very fancy hotel rooms. He's also received £16,000 from a private donor for his work clothes and £2,500 for his glasses. I just want to put this into perspective. This is a man who is supposedly worth somewhere north of £5 million and who we know earns just south of £200,000 a year, accepting donations for his glasses. Just go to Specsavers, Keir, please. This is just unnecessary and ridiculous. Is this a man that doesn't have enough work suits? Really? Now, in that space of time, FIFA have donated £40,000 worth of football match tickets to Keir Starmer. Think about that, £40,000. Arsenal have given him £10,000 worth of tickets. He even somehow was gifted £4,000 worth of tickets to see Taylor Swift. It was 4 tickets, so I guess they're £1,000 each.
Now, this was, Keir Starmer said, a swift campaign stop. And it was an expensive one too. Tickets to Taylor Swift at Wembley, gifted to him and worth £4,000. Now, look at this. The source of those tickets are one of the Prime Minister's top donors of freebies, the Premier League. They've given over £12,500 worth of tickets. You can see over here what they're for. They're to Taylor Swift and to a lot of football, including the Euros finals. Football. These are far from the only football games the Prime Minister has accepted freebies to see. Look at the total. Keir Starmer has accepted over £35,000 worth of football tickets alone since the 2019 election. Some in government worry that there are big decisions on a football regulator being made, and that could mean this is a conflict of interest if he keeps going, accepting these types of gifts.
I think about it. You would have to pay me £4,000 to go to a Taylor Swift concert with Keir Starmer. That's my Room 101 experience, honestly. So bizarre, but it just highlights exactly how bad this is. Now, the business secretary, interestingly, has come out in defence of Keir Starmer. He's defended Keir Starmer by saying, he works very, very hard, and he deserves a wider life experience, I think he called it. Those were his exact words. But that argument just doesn't stand, does it? Keir Starmer works hard. I'm sure Keir Starmer works hard. I mean, he's the Prime Minister. Are we saying that a nurse who's pulling 12-hour shifts isn't working hard? Why don't they get, £40,000 of tickets from FIFA? They won't have the time to go and watch those matches, I'm sure. So I guess that's pretty irrelevant to them. But it's just not a good argument, really. Oh, this man works hard, so he deserves all of these elaborate, lavish gifts. No. And we know that that's not what's happening here. We know that it's not some wealthy individual who's taken pity on Keir Starmer and said, oh, gosh, look how hard Keir is working. God, he's terribly overworked, isn't he? I feel terrible for that man. Let's give him 40 grand's worth of tickets. Let's give him 2.5 grand's worth of glasses. Let's get him some Gucci frames or something. That'll cheer him up. So bizarre, the counter-arguments. And the reason that the counter-arguments are bizarre is because there is no good counter-argument. Everyone knows what's happening here. And it's just not acceptable. And it's not acceptable on all sides of the political spectrum, in my opinion. It really isn't. The reason I'm picking on Keir Starmer is twofold. First of all, he's the Prime Minister. And second of all, at the moment, he is clearly the worst offender. So that's why I'm picking on Keir. But the last thing I'll say is, you know, this is the same man who's cancelled the winter fuel allowance for pensioners who receive, let's assume they get the full state pension, £13,000 a year. So he's decided that actually they can afford to fuel their own homes, by and large. But he, to reiterate, cannot afford his own work clothes. So he has to take donations. You know, it's just so utterly, utterly bizarre. And that's it.